Hey folks, Matthew Cook here on the Tactical Dad podcast. I'm your host and I am the Tactical Dad. Today we are going to talk reflex red dot scopes, open reflex red dot scopes, tube style red dot scopes, red dot scopes. We are talking all things red dot scopes because I have found a phenomenal resource. I'm going to link these people because they specialize in optics and I just learned this I learned a while ago, but they just made it so clear and was so helpful. Lots of resources, lots of great resources on the website called Sightmark. I'm going to link their website and a specific blog that they wrote that I have read, and I thought it was really great how they explained it. Since they're optics people, they get pretty nerdy and geek out using the correct terminology, which I love. I would do the same. I do the same in different areas, and I thought it was really good. So what's interesting to know, whether I was just going to talk about open red dot, an open red dot sight, but I'm going to just talk about all of them, all of it here. So open or tube style, and but first let's just say, if you haven't listened to any other podcasts and you're new and this is the first one you're listening to, so either one, a red dot sight is extremely compatible with AR-15s, any modern day any modern sporting rifle, and they tend to be the optic of choice. So these kind of sights are like the fastest way to get on target accurately, and that's just exactly what we're trying to do with an AR, right? Or any sort of rifle. That's what we're trying to do, get on target quickly. So this is extremely helpful and useful for short to medium range targets. Unless you're sort of a precision long range shooter, you're not going to want one of these. So it's more, these style are more for fast target acquisition and shots where you're in competition, shooting competitions, home defense, so even sort of like some types of hunting. The red dot is the way to go. So let's get into it. So we gotta. I love how these guys, Sightmark, said, let's get something straight. A red dot sight, as a lot of people are misusing the terms. So both open and tube style sights are reflex sights, and it's because of technically how it's made. But an open reflex sight is technically not a red dot sight. So, although regardless of the terminology, most people are going to know. Like if you went to a gun store and you asked, no one's going to make fun of you, and they'll know what you're talking about. So, reflex sights are called reflex sights because of the way they work. They work using a reflective glass lens to align light from an LED to project an aiming point on a glass objective lens. So, and due to the special reflective coating on the lens, the illuminated red dot is visible only to you and does not go through the other side of the lens. So the dot never actually it is never projected onto the target. It just appears that way to the viewer if you're looking at that lens. So the internal operation is the same for tube style red dots and reflex sights. However, if you put both of them together, like if you put the tube style out, you put our red dot tube style, our tube style red dot sight next to a reflex sight, which is like an open reflex sight, or HUD because it sits upwards and above an open. They look nothing like. Both are really good optics. and have very few disadvantages, yet they are slightly different specs and features which will make you prefer one over the other. So what's the difference? One of the biggest differences between a reflex open sight and a red dot, so tube style, due to with a reflex sight, so that in this case what we're talking about is the open red dot sight. The reflex open sight is its heads up display, and its design allows for a wider field of view. So the field of view is how much of the image you can see in the window or objective lens. Reflex sights let you clearly see the target as well as what's kind of around it, giving you like a tactical advantage, allowing you to retain sort of situational awareness. Now, reflex sights are also just a hair faster at target acquisition because the dot isn't confined in the heads up display as in the tube style. So some might find, especially if you're competing like hunting birds or something like that, that your peripheral vision is obstructed when using a tube style red dot, because you kind of go like look in this way, so your peripheral vision like shrinks, gets narrower, whereas with the open reflex sight you can kind of see, and especially if something's moving, like your situational awareness is a little bit better. So where the tube red dot has the reflex beat is how here we go. So reflex sights are most susceptible to the elements, as I just sort of explained and described. A red dot, so tube style red dot, has an enclosed housing protecting the internals. Also, reflex sights have an exposed light path, so if anything blocks that path, you lose the reticle. To compensate for this, we that's just something specific for that bug. So they look vastly different, like they look like two completely different kinds of optics, but the internal function's the same. Like, so they're both technically reflex sights, but one's in a tube style red dot and one's an open, so that's where they differentiate, but they're both the same internal workings. So it's it comes down to preference. I can see how I also learned that police officers, people in that kind of industry, like bodyguards, protective units, SWAT, police officers, all of that, they use more open reflex sights, because if you think about it, situational awareness is everything there. Something's like, if they're trying, let's say they're trying to take down a suspect, that person or thing's probably moving, so it would help to have a wider field of view. Whereas with a tube style, you kind of you're blocking out some of the elements, so you can see how that would be quite helpful there. Both are for short to medium range, both help you get on target faster. However, the open, so the reflex sight, is going to be a little bit quicker in target acquisition, although both are super fast. And yeah, that's it. That's really, so that turned into basically the differences, and you'll get some great information, some really good resources from Sightmark, which I will share in the podcast description. And I'll also, since this is going to be a video as well, I will post the link in the video. That's all from me today on sights, red dot, tube style red dot sights, and open reflex sights. Wording's strange. All right, that's all from me. Thanks for joining me. Speak to you again.